Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Buster Taste Challenge. We have two old 19th century brands. This is T.W. Samuels. T.W. Samuels, introduced in 1844. So they got the old label. Interesting, they got the old label on the newer label. And the new label isn't new. It's old. T.W. Samuels, a real person, not one of these made up homey country sounding names, is a real guy from Kentucky who started a whiskey company. And of course, like most of them, they got bought out by a bigger company, who is Heaven Hill, a family-owned company, but a more powerful family. Hey, Jay, says Maxwell. Hello, Maxwell, in Russia, the Russian Federation. So it's so interesting to see people's reaction. You know, you got beer company gets bought out, and then, oh, I can't believe it. I'll never buy their stuff again. I'm so hurt. It's like you don't understand the business. The busyness. You know, that's the way it works. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got hurt and your feelings were damaged or hurt. But these people who make craft beer, wine, liquor, they're in it for the money. All right. You say, no, because I drink this company's craft beer, and they're in it for the causes. They give money to all the causes. Well, first of all, you got to remember that a lot of times they're giving money to causes because they're just trying to placate people and get them off their back. It's almost like protection money. You understand? It's like extortion in a way. So they're not maybe that, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but they're chasing the buck. So they're going to try to placate the activist groups. So here's your payoff, and you can go harass somebody else. So you got to remember that. Don't get too socially conscious with these companies. You think they're out for you. They're for us, man. They're for us, man. But then they sell out to the man, and you're upset. No, they're in it for profit. Okay, so but people are, what you'd say, naive, I guess you call it, or ignorant. But you want to be neither of these things. So here's the T.W. Samuels. I'm going to go clean off the top. It's kind of dusty and greasy from dust. And I do a lot of cooking, and these bottles are in the kitchen. Once I open them, I'll bring them to the kitchen so they get like that. All right, so T.W. Samuels, still around. It's a real brand. It's sold here in this town, across Louisiana. I don't know about your state, but it's fairly common around here. I think the Heaven Hill blended brand that's more common, the Heaven Hill Kentucky blended whiskey, Quality House. They changed the name to Heaven Hill Quality House. That's part of that line now, Kentucky blended whiskey. Now, did they make other T.W. Samuels besides the blended 80-20 blend, 80% grain spirits, 20% straight whiskey? And it says the straight, there's a bunch of talk about it as the connoisseur's whiskey. Yeah, I know it. That's why it's $8.99 a bottle, because connoisseurs buy it. $36 months. I thought so. It's aged 3 years. They don't blend it and age it. They age it, then they blend it. In other words, the straight whiskey in here, the straight bourbon almost invariably, because it's Heaven Hill's a bourbon company, is aged 3 years. Then they blend it with freshly made grain spirits, unaged, clear, odorless, colorless. There you got your T.W. Samuels. I know a guy that used to work in St. James Parish, and he said at a grocery store there, that was one of their biggest sellers. It was close to what you call a lower middle class, or probably more like a working class neighborhood would be euphemistic, and it was very popular there. Okay, what's going on? I'm doing a taste challenge. Seth Derusso. Thanks for watching. Now, the competitor is Brook. A real brand. It's not some store brand. There's the government liquor inspector. That was always their kind of like gimmick, so to speak. Like, our whiskey's government inspected. You can trust the quality. Of course, why bother mentioning the fact that all whiskey's government inspected? But you see, you're okay. This one's let me go finish clean. I see. I used a new scrub pad and it had this like compound on it that made the stuff very spotty. I'm telling you, I love these scrub pads because they're rough on one side for scouring and they're soft foam on the other. So you would clean a glass with soft foam. I learned that the hard way. You don't clean a glass with scouring. Even plastic, it'll scratch the glass. But when you first using these scrub pads, sponge and scouring pad, there's like a coating on them, like a compound, and it gets all over the glass and the silverware. It makes spots. And then, but after you use it for 2 or 3 days, that'll stop. He said that's some kind of chemical. It probably is, but it might protect the plastic from deteriorating from humidity or something. I don't know. What do I know for plastic? John Womack, morning. Good morning to you, Blake TV. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Blake. Boy, it's a whole gang here. Now, I am drinking some FH Beer Works Sticky Balls Wheat Ale brewed with Colorado honey from Colorado Springs. That sounds good. All right, so I'm going to do this, and then later today, but it won't be posted today. Oh, this one's aged 4 years. So they take 4-year-old bourbon, almost assuredly bourbon. They blend it with 80% grain spirits. They might add color in to it to give it some consistency. And can't do that with bourbon, but you can do it with blended. You can do it with Canadian blended, do it with blended Scotch, do it with blended Irish. And they might even add some blending sherry. If you read the U.S. government regulations, it can be up to 2% blending sherry, which I guess gives it some flavor. And then there's your blended whiskey. People will say, you know, disparaging things like it's brown vodka. But it isn't. I'm not defending American blended whiskey. This is not my job. I know it's low grade. If it wasn't, then why would it be? Why did I get the Sunnybrook for $6.49 a liter? And the TW Samuel, well, the TW Samuel was more expensive. It was $8.99 for the $7.50. I bought it from Winn-Dixie, but they tend to be kind of expensive anyway. I don't really go there much because I find their prices are high. That company's struggling mightily. Southeastern Grocers just yesterday sold off half their Jitney Jungle stores to Food Lion, who's going to rebrand as Food Lion. And then they said they weren't going to keep Jitney Jungle around. They were going to take, because there were like 61 stores remaining. I guess they're going to turn them into Winn-Dixie or something. I don't know. That company's got a lot of problems. Grocery business is really treacherous, and you got a better chance of going bankrupt than making money, I do believe. All right. So is the Sunnybrook simply 4-year-old Jim Beam, which is 4 years old, that they're blending with grain spirits and selling it for a cheap price? Wouldn't shock me. And it's probably Jim Beam that didn't come out right. Like maybe it was flawed in some way. I know companies do this because read the Jack Daniels website. Just read it on their FAQ, frequently asked questions. And it says, what is Jack Daniels green label? Because if you look at the portfolio, our whiskeys, all right, You won't see the green label. Jack Daniel's number 7. It's called Jack Daniel's number 7. Been around for over 100 years. Interestingly, though, if you read the frequently asked questions, it'll say, well, and then it'll describe that the Jack Daniel's green label, that's the unofficial name, green label, it's really number 7, is an inferior one that didn't come out right. They don't use those exact words, but that's what they do say that. But they're not going to toss it out and waste it. They just put a green label on it, and bada bing, they sell it for a slightly lower price. And it says younger. Evan Williams, get on their website. I bet you won't see the green label. You sure won't. It's not listed, but I can go right to Walmart. There it is on the shelf. Evan Williams green label from Heaven Hill. Ha ha. Think. Age 3 years. Charcoal filtered. Now, the Evan Williams black label does not say charcoal filtered, interestingly. And it's a 4-year age. And Evan Williams is higher proof, 86. Evan Williams green label is 80. So do not imagine or do not entertain the idea that the only liquor a company sells is what's listed on the website. No, 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 no. There are many what I call hidden brands. Is there a T.W. Samuels straight bourbon whiskey? According to Heaven Hill's product specifications, there is straight bourbon, not mixed with, blended with grain alcohol. There is a, I do believe, I have to check, a bottled and bond version. You barely can find information about Old Overhaul, you know, the rye whiskey. Find some fleeting information. That's another Beam-Suntory product, Jim Beam product. But there it is on the shelf. Red label. I call it red label. Bonded. Old Overhaul bonded 100 proof whiskey. Well, there it is. I know it exists. I saw it Saturday. Get on the Early Times website. Oh, they talk about Early Times this, Early Times that, up, down, sideways, diagonal, front, back. But take note, they never mention the bonded, the blue, the cobalt blue label, Evan Williams bonded whiskey, bottled and bond. There it is on the shelf at Dorgnac's. Well, how about that? How about that? So here we have identical blend ratio, 80-20. Identical state, Kentucky. Same ABV, 80 proof, 40% alcohol, 80 proof. But not the same age. The straight whiskey in Sunnybrook is 4 years old. Probably Jim Beam. Tastes like it. The straight whiskey in T.W. Samuels is age 3 years. It's probably the Evan Williams green label. Can I prove that? How would I ever prove that? The company is not going to talk about it. They're very shady and shadowy about it. They prefer not to talk about it. Seems to me if they'd want to talk about their blended whiskeys, they would. Get on their website. Get on Heaven Hill's website. You'll look far and wide to find a blended whiskey, and you won't find it unless you look in product specifications, which is simply like an Excel, you know, that Microsoft Windows Excel list. It's just it's an index. Beam-Suntory, they list one blended whiskey these days. DYC, I think it's called, which I don't know what it stands for, and it's in Spain. They sell it to Spain. It's very popular in the Kingdom of Spain. They used to talk about Kessler, no longer listed on the website. Don't list Beam. They don't list Beam's 8-star, which is a 2-year age. Beam's 8-star. It's actually pretty popular if you look around various bars and grills, restaurants. It'd be their well whiskey. And say, I want a Beam and Coke. You just paid $6 for Beam's 8-star in Coke. They didn't defraud you because you said Beam. You didn't say Jim Beam. You said Beam. You thought you were getting the 4-year age. Straight bourbon. Wrongo. You win the wrong contest. You got a 2-year age blended. But you sat there drinking it, and you were so proud that you paid $6. You could have bought the whole bottle for $6. Okay. I don't need to close my eyes too much. All right. Whoa, look at all these comments. Got a lot of people watching here. It's daylight now. Good morning from California. Prophet on the Golden Shore. Daryl Macias. Kevin Johnson. I enjoy American blended, but I prefer Canadian blended whiskeys more. Yeah, me too. They have a better flavor. Seth Darris said, Canadian liquor is sure for a fun time. Canadian blended rye, yes, says Nurse Ratchet. I have a feeling you would really enjoy Ezra Brooks, Ronald, one of my favorite straight bourbons, especially for the price. I'd probably enjoy it. In my opinion, Sunnybrook is the worst tasting whiskey in the USA, and the only whiskeys that are worse are Indian and Thai whiskey, says Robert. Robert's been talking about this a long time about. Wait till you try Sunnybrook. You'll see. Y'all making me thirsty this morning, says Blake. I didn't find Sunnybrook was any better or worse than all these other things. But we're going to give it a blind taste test. I don't prejudge these because I get fooled a lot. The color was the same. You know, that chestnut color. Amazing what you can do with caramel coloring. Ha, 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 but it's true. All right. So later today, I'm going to record. This is the plan. If I'm not too worn out from cutting the grass, if I get to do that with the rain. Crown Royal, Fine Deluxe, whatever it's called. It's a full name, but everybody calls it Crown Royal. They don't put the whole title, but I'll post it in about a week. That's going to cause the interest level to escalate. You know, these kind of things here, I'm shocked I got 10 people watching because usually people are like, oh, Lord, I want to watch it. But Crown Royal, that's going to bring in the business if you're chasing views. I don't chase views, but I know some people do, guys. And but I noticed something I was researching yesterday. It's really strange. I've said for years that I think some people are paid for subs. You know, they pay an agency to bring them in. Because I know, and it doesn't matter to me. I'm telling you, I don't care. Except, you know, it's interesting. Like, you may not care about something, but you just read about it, you know. They got some guy. He's got more than twice the subs I have. And he pushes it. He's hard on that. But he has less views. And I thought to myself, it's strange. You would have over twice the subscribers that I have. But you got no views relative to what you should have, you know. You got less views than the guy with 40% of your subscribers. It's just strange to me. It's almost like a Potemkin village or something. Okay, this is nutty. You say, like, you. I'm not nutty. Wow, not too nutty. It smells like walnuts, pecans, something like that. Does it smell like whiskey? Yeah. Does it smell like watered down bourbon whiskey? Yeah. Does it smell like American blended whiskey? Yeah. Does it smell cheap? Yeah. Okay. Does it smell terrible? No. This one, not so nutty, but more vanilla and oily. Like, I don't know what kind of oil. I don't know. Corn oil. Mazola corn oil. I don't know. So, are these remarkably different one from the other? They're more similar than different, but the differences are definitely noticeable. They're noticeable. Taste time. Cheers to you all. Huh. Now you see, right off the bat, as we'd say in cricket, I watched a cricket game twice, once in the Bahamas and once in Canada, Toronto. I didn't understand it. I was just watching it. Anyway, there's a lot of rye here. You say rye. Get off it. I'm not getting off it because it tastes like spicy rye whiskey. I mean, you would imagine the percentage of rye is so low, but it's still there. Yeah, it's giving it a spice. Amazing. I'm doing like mouthwash, which I would not recommend doing and then going to work. Unless you taste whiskey for a job, you might be okay. That's a little rye too. That's got a little bit, but I think it's got some of that honeydew melon that you get with those Heaven Hill tragedies. Oh, I mean whiskeys. I said tragedy. Tragedy. Okay. That'll give you the willies. You know, sometimes you drink stuff and they give you the creeps, give you the shivers, or like they say around here, the frisson. Woo! Yowza. I don't know, though. That one ain't too much better. Gosh. Y'all, my book says that Taylor W. Samuels was the founding father of Maker's Mark. That's what I heard. But it wasn't the same T.W. Samuels from 1844. It was like one of his descendants. They used the same name. Heaven Hill got the brand when they acquired some brands from Taylor. It was a straight at 86 proof in its heyday. You're right. They still make I haven't a T.W. Samuels straight bourbon though. Drinking some of that corn grits this morning, huh, Ronald? Says Kevin. Yeah. That's about it. But honestly though, these blended American things, they don't come across so corn grits like a straight bourbon. Boy, that straight bourbon, when I try it, it's like drinking grits. I know what you're going to say. You're effeminate. You don't like bourbon. I'm not effeminate. I don't really like bourbon. And as a counterpoint to that congregation, I know somebody I work with that screamed out one day, bourbon, that's what women drink. And I looked at him like, you're really not right in the head. But he loves Wild Turkey 101. And I asked him one day, this is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis in our personal lives. I said, you tell me right now, what is Wild Turkey 101? It's a whiskey. I said, right. It's a bourbon whiskey. I said, you made the statement, women drink bourbon. As though people didn't realize women and men like bourbon. It's like you got to shake your head in bewilderment, really. I said, do you know what that means? I don't know. I asked him something. Oh, yeah, 101. Why do they call it 101? He didn't know. This is a man that lives on Wild Turkey every Friday night. I said, why do they call it 101? He didn't know. I talked to my brother. He didn't know. I talked to my sister. She didn't know. I talked to everybody. They didn't know. I knew a little short man. All right. In a funny red suit. I told him, I said, you look kind of funny. He said, I think so too. So many people. Okay. I think, and my confidence level right now is at an all-time low. Well, it really isn't an all-time. I'm just being hyperbolic. I've had times doing taste challenges where I had much lower confidence, but it isn't good. But I think, oh, am I enjoying these? Well, that's a relative. That would be a relative thing, to say the least. Okay, I'm surviving it. I'm surviving it. Doctors, lawyers, philosophers, scientists. I'm going to make my call. I think this is the Sunnybrook from Jim Beam, because it has less of the honeydew melon, which I hate so much. And I think this is the T.W. Samuels. Why? Why you say why? Because it's shabby, tastes wrong, got an unusual honeydew melon aspect. You have contempt for it. Yes, all those things. And not only that, it's a clear loser because the Sunnybrook is cheaper. In my experience, I paid $8.99 for T.W. Samuels, and I should have paid 89 cents. And the Sunnybrook, I paid $6.49 and I got a whole liter. If I'm gonna be miserable drinking something, well, you know what? I'd rather be miserable drinking something at a lower price, and I think that makes perfect sense. So I'm gonna say this is T.W. Samuels. Would I recommend it? Sure, if you go insane one day, if you've gone mad, you've lost your mind, and you don't know where you are, and you hear voices and you think you don't want cable TV anymore because the Cubans are spying on you through the television, and that your morning glass of milk comes from cats, and that Italy is firmly nestled between Australia and New Zealand, go ahead and buy it. You won't know. You can talk into a fan and everything will be A-OK, baby. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend it with a good conscience. Ouch. See, when you drink something and you say ouch, that's a sign. That is a sign. So I'm going to say, shockingly, really, finally, Sunnybrook won. You say, what did it win? Yeah, it won the Booby Prize. Thank you, H.L. Mencken. H.L. Mencken said it went the Booby Prize. We like the cause that go boom. All right, so there you go, Sunnybrook. I like Sun, I like Brooks, but I wouldn't necessarily want to drink Sunnybrook. So there you go. If that doesn't say SB, I'm gonna feel like an SB. Here we go. Ha ha ha. How you feel? Played. Woo-ha. I got you all in check. It is Sunnybrook. What a genius. The man's enlarged my mind. He's a poet warrior in the classic sense. And I try to be all those things. All right, now, laughing out loud, says Kevin Johnson. It's funny how ignorant some people can be, especially when they are willfully defending something. Right? He loves Wild Turkey 101, doesn't know what it is. I like blended whiskey for cocktails, sours, Manhattans, and also as an easy shot with a cold beer, blend or brandy. Okay, good comment, Robert. XL Fargas says, I like your videos, bro. Keep doing your thing, brother. Keep doing your thing, brother. Brother. All right, well, that brings us to the end of another classic. Where do I go? Who do I turn to? Here we go. Well, I have even worse news. I have another Heaven Hill brand to bring up against Sunnybrook. It's called Kentucky Bow. Well, if you want a bow, you don't want this one to be your bow. But in Louisiana, they've like taken that word and warped it into the word boo. Hey, boo. When you coming over, boo? But I know it's a corruption of beau, which is a French word meaning like your boyfriend. But hey, little whiskey, I wanna be your boyfriend. Okay, that whiskey better be a goyle. Okay, anyway, what do I know for whiskey? So then it's gonna be the same thing as you just watched. I'll be going back and forth, talking about this, talking about that. A lot of it will be frivolity and jocular humor, which will fall flat in many cases, and so on and so on. But at the end, or as they say on CNN a lot, at the end of the day, the Sunnybrook will win, but not by much. And ultimately, it will make no difference. Okay, now when the Canadian whiskeys come into play, that's the one I'm excited about, because I think Crown Royal is going to demolish all the competition. It'll be like Godzilla marching through Nagoya, one of the Japanese cities, Gojira, because I have a lot of Canadian whiskeys that I like, but I think Crown Royal would destroy them. This I do not know, but this is what I predict. Yeah. I hate you. I do hate you. Now, I say that I'm just being dramatic. I don't really hate them. Don't love them. Okay, well, so enough swimming at the bottom of the fish tank today. We'll go on to better things, we pray. We did do a beautiful one. I posted this morning the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Now that was a winner if there was ever a winner. But we're not winning right now. We simply exist. Thanks for watching this video production.